Welcome to today's video. Donald Trump is the newly elected President of the United States, and today we are going to discuss the people around him in his new government. It's called the Cabinet, and it includes 15 heads of executive departments. But we will also talk about the EPA Administrator and the Director of National Intelligence. Let's start with a very controversial pick, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And yes, he is indeed a member of the Kennedy family. He is the nephew of John F. Kennedy. Now, the reason for him being a controversial pick is that he is anti-vaccines. He thinks that vaccines aren't always good for you, however, he won't take them away from anybody. He has been a big climate activist and was in the conversation to get a role under the Obama administration. Now he works with Trump. Kennedy said Trump had given him 3 instructions to remove corruption from health agencies, to return these bodies to evidence-based science and medicine, and to end the chronic disease epidemic. Next is Lee Zeldin as the EPA Administrator. The EPA Administrator leads efforts to protect human health and the environment by enforcing regulations and shaping policies on clean air, water, and land. Zeldin was involved in politics for quite long now, went to the military, and even became a lawyer. He always worked close with Trump. However, he is seen critical in regards to this role because he voted against a lot of actions for the climate under the Biden administration. The next role is also not really in the cabinet, but still an important position in the government, the head of national intelligence. Trump has picked Tulsi Gabbard, who has had an impressive military career, serving as a combat veteran and achieving the rank of lieutenant colonel in the Hawaii Army National Guard. She is super anti-war and wants to leave Ukraine. She also ran for primary in the past and wanted to legalize cannabis. Her stance on anti-war has been criticized, and she's been called a Russian puppet. Just listen to what Nikki Haley, a Republican, has to say about her.
What are the facts about Tulsi Gabbard? She opposed ending the Iran nuclear deal. She tried to limit Trump's war powers against Iran. She tried to cut our annual defense budget so that we couldn't punish Iran and hinder their influence. Reminder, Iran is our #1 sponsor of terrorism, and Tulsi Gabbard was defending Iran. She went to Syria in 2017 for a photo op with Bashar al-Assad while he was massacring his own people. That Assad was not behind that. Literally, everything she said about that were Russian talking points. Every bit of that. That was Russian propaganda. After Russia invaded Ukraine, Tulsi Gabbard literally blamed NATO. Our Western alliance that's responsible for countering Russia, she blamed NATO for the attack on Ukraine.
Kristi Noem is Trump's pick as Secretary of Homeland Security. She has been the governor of the oil-rich North Dakota and has been a supporter of Trump for long now. She wants to go hard on immigration, doesn't like abortion, and wants to allow people to own guns. However, she is not that experienced in this field. This year she was under attack because in her book she told a story about killing her dog after he ate the neighbor's chicken, attacked her children, and bit her hand. Just listen to her defending herself.
The South Dakota governor tells Sean Hannity she had to put her dog Cricket down after the animal ate the neighbor's chickens and tried to bite her.
And I had a choice between keeping my small children and other people safe or a dangerous animal, and I chose the safety of my children.
Next member of the cabinet we're going to discuss is Doug Collins as Secretary of Veterans Affairs. It should be the case that this role is played by a veteran, which he is and should be. He was a congressman and a MAGA guy for quite some time now. He also was a key defender during Trump's first impeachment. He is openly anti-LGBT in abortion and didn't have much to do with veterans in the Congress. On the social media platform X, Collins said that he was honored to accept the nomination, adding that veterans deserve the best care and support.
Marco Rubio is Trump's pick as Secretary of State, who is considered quite far right. Known for his strong stances on foreign policy, Rubio has consistently advocated for promoting democracy, confronting authoritarian regimes, and strengthening alliances. From his time in the Senate, Rubio gained a reputation as a vocal critic of China's influence and a staunch supporter of sanctions against adversarial nations like Russia and Iran. He criticized Obama's foreign policy, although he has worked as a senator under his administration. This pick is quite surprising. Pete Hegseth as Secretary of Defense. That's because he isn't a politician, but a TV moderator who previously served in the Army. However, there are allegations that he paid a woman to stay silent about a sexual assault. Despite this controversy, with his military experience and unwavering commitment to the nation's security, Hegseth could bring a bold vision to the Pentagon, prioritizing strength, strategy, and support for those who serve. Scott Bessent as Secretary of the Treasury is an unexpected choice. Known as a top investor and former chief investment officer for George Soros, Bessent brings extensive knowledge of global markets and economic trends. However, his Wall Street ties have raised questions about potential conflicts of interest. Despite the criticism, his financial expertise and innovative thinking could position him to tackle key challenges, focusing on financial stability, market leadership, and driving economic growth. Joe Burgum as Secretary of the Interior is an intriguing pick. As North Dakota's governor, he's focused on energy development and land conservation, balancing resources with economic growth. While his background is in business, his leadership experience could bring a fresh approach to managing public lands and addressing climate and energy challenges. Next up is Chris Wright as Secretary of Energy. He is a big oil guy and a defender of fossil energy. He's made some controversial statements about the climate in the past, and it will probably be the case that he won't create more sources of renewable energies. He wants to bring affordable and reliable energy to the people, which means he'll be drilling for oil.
Chris has been a leading technologist and entrepreneur in energy. He has worked in nuclear, solar, geothermal, and oil and gas. Most significantly, Chris was one of the pioneers who helped launch the American shale revolution that fueled American energy independence and transformed the global energy markets and geopolitics. And that is President Trump on Chris Wright, his energy secretary choice.
Brooke Collins as Secretary of Agriculture is an interesting pick. With a strong background in agriculture and rural development, Collins has a deep understanding of the challenges farmers face. Known for advocating for sustainable farming practices and improving food security, her experience could bring a balanced approach to policy, supporting both agricultural innovation and the welfare of rural communities. She wants farmers to have more protection and freedom. The pick of Matt Gaetz has spiked a lot of attention from the public because he had some lawsuits going on, and now there is a new one arriving, due to which he has pulled out for now. He has stated in the past that he doesn't like the Department of Justice and wants to reshape it. Because he has pulled out of the race now, it doesn't mean that he can't rejoin the race and get the role as Secretary of the DOJ eventually. He is seen as a disruptor and wants to stop the DOJ from being weaponized. Howard Lutnick as Secretary of Commerce is a surprising but intriguing choice. As the CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald, Lutnick has extensive experience in finance, trading, and global markets. Known for his leadership in navigating economic challenges, he could bring a business-focused approach to driving economic growth, innovation, and trade policy, while supporting U.S. industries in the global marketplace. Lori Chavez. Deramere as Secretary of Labor is an interesting choice. As a former businesswoman and current member of Congress, she understands both the challenges workers face and the needs of employers. With her focus on job creation and workforce development, she could bring a balanced approach to improving labor policies and supporting workers across the country. The potential Secretary of Education, Linda McMahon, is a controversial pick. As the wife of WWE owner Vince McMahon, she is extremely wealthy and a close friend of Trump. Many view her as a threat to traditional education. With a background in entrepreneurship and a focus on school choice and charter schools, McMahon's appointment could shift the focus of U.S. education policy towards privatization and competition, sparking concerns among educators and advocators concerns among education.
Scott Turner, the Secretary pick for Housing and Urban Development, is a very surprising pick because he's not a politician, but an NFL player and a motivational speaker. However, he had a role under Trump before. Turner has a strong background in community development and affordable housing. With his focus on creating economic opportunities and addressing housing shortages, he could bring a fresh perspective to tackling the nation's housing crisis, particularly in underserved areas. Sean Duffy as Secretary of Transportation is an interesting pick. A former congressman with a background in policy and media, Duffy has experience in infrastructure issues and economic development. Known for his practical approach to problem solving, he could bring fresh ideas to improving the nation's transportation systems, focusing on modernization, efficiency, and expanding access to sustainable transportation options. We now have a lot of unusual picks. Now we have one that is considered obvious by some people and very surprising by others. Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy are going to lead a newly created department. It is called Department of Government Efficiency, and it is supposed to help other government departments use money efficiently. Now, these two people are both billionaires and are obviously good with cutting expenses, so they are expected to do a good job. Trump said that this will save trillions of dollars. That's it for today's video. Let us know what you think about these picks in the comments.